It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Oh, dang, I should have uploaded the new one. Well, I have the new one ready. Maybe I can get it ready for the rest of the show, but thanks to Foss for this one.
Sir, why are you in Barry's fishing net? He ran right into it. Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty apes! First off, that is incredibly rude. You ran straight into Barry's fishing net. It's ruined. How is Barry gonna fish now? I'm just trying to find some patches and some stickers. Well, all you have to do is go to gearwebsites.com and you can find 2A-related stickers and patches. And even if you need web consulting, technology consulting, 3D printing, anything like that, gearwebsites.com. Now, please get out of the net. I'm sorry, jerk.
All right, welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. A little distracted because I'm watching a whole bunch of things happen over here. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, one of my beeps. I've been messing with a cable. So we're doing a couple of firsts tonight. One is our first, our first show with the new cable. Sorry, I'm scrolling through. Oh, good. Scrolling through a couple of auctions, and I missed a bunch of them, but like, how could this thing go up to $8? But I got this other stuff all cheap, so I guess I'll shut up, even though some of the things I would have definitely bid more than $1 on. But anyway, I'll quit being distracted over there, and welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. If you're listening to this as a podcast, it's a sloppy one today because we're finishing up taxes and internet cable, and we got ourselves a new tool today, a new type of coax crimping tool that I have not used. My coax crimping tool may be inferior. I don't know. But I used a different coax tool back in the day. I don't feel like digging it out. I found this one cheap, so I grabbed it, and we put using a new type of coax fitting. We have a new cable, a new 30-foot cable going to the cable modem that Gizzard Gary gave us. So let us know how the connection is. I guess I should have said that right off the beginning, but I got around to it here. So welcome everybody who's joining us live. And yeah, you're watching the first show, you're part of the first show with the new cable cord. I didn't even pull the old cable cord out yet. I literally just got it delivered during Gizzard's show, pulled all the stuff in, kind of yanked the old cord from the two ends, ran the new cord earlier today, and then put those new ends on with that new tool. And we're now literally running right with the new cable. The first speed test was pretty horrible, but the second one was decent. So I guess we'll see how it goes. So far, so good, though. No connection issues. I'll jump over, since no one give me any feedback. I'll jump over and listen to the show here real quick, like. Okay, sounds like we got volume. Okay, sounds like we got volume. There we go. All right, so then we're good to go. So each Friday night, for a long time now, we've gone live to chat about what's been happening over the week for the Second Amendment. And at the moment, like I say, with the taxes are finally done. It's an update. But now, just taxes and getting there. Oh man, there goes my internet. Are you kidding me? So it's cable. I suspected it would be the internet's cable. So it's the cable's cable after all. Dang it. I was hoping we'd have a show with good, stable connection after all that, but looks like not. That's super frustrating. All right, well, so try not to be distracted by that as we dig into the show here. And I guess I was saying that with the different things going on, IRL, the awareness of what's going on with the second has been suffering. So we will. Oh wait, I didn't even take it over to Substack today, did I? All right, I guess we're going to do that live. I'm not going to have time to do it any other time. So I did go over to Substack though earlier today. I think it was today, this morning, and posted this interesting selection of books on tape. Well, audiobooks, I guess. I was listening to one of the shows that we'll talk about today, one of the interview shows, and the guy is an entrepreneur and a successful one, and he recommended 8 good books, and I think I was able to find 6 of those books in audiobook form that you can listen to on YouTube. So I made a post over on Substack about that earlier. But what we'll do is we'll make a post real quick, just a quick one, with today's info. So what we're going to do is open up a new Substack, essentially a blog post. Then we'll open up this show over on the YouTube. And I don't think I didn't even finish setting up this show. So we'll go in and we'll edit this show. This is the kind of fun stuff we do as content creators behind the scenes. And I don't even think I put it into the playlist today. Oh, I did already. Okay. So let's see. I'm coming in here so that I can grab the description here. Move that out of the way. Select all and copy. And we'll just jump over to, oops. Nope, quit doing all that. Substack and just paste. It's that simple. Takes a little bit more formatting than that, but that's about all there is to it. We'll just hit the back button so that I can grab the title and stuff. Normally this would all be done either behind the scenes by the content creator who you're watching, or depending on who channel you're watching, normally this would all be done. Might be done by staff, people they pay to do all this. So we'll grab this part of it. Copy, copy, copy. Go up here and paste that there. And we'll grab this. Copy, copy, copy. And paste that here. For now, we'll just act like that was the whole thing. Oh, that's really bad, actually. Let's go back. Can I go back? What happened? Okay, I guess all I can do is send it and then edit it. Oh, I didn't even send it to everyone. Let me send it to everyone. There we go. All right, so now we have the post, and since it looks pretty horrible, we'll quickly edit it. And I also forgot to put in the link to the video itself, so that's why Brooke's thumbnail is showing up as the thumbnail for the show. So, or for the blog post, so we'll edit that. And this is how slow my computer is. This has nothing to do with the internet. But this gives you a taste, just a taste of what it's like creating content. Take some time. If you're sloppy like I am, I will do this while I'm watching somebody else's show. That's why half the time mine is not that good, because I'm distracted by whatever other stuff I'm watching. Oh my goodness. So let's see. Yeah, I just don't have much in here, so this can get all chopped up a little bit. We'll just quickly put that into bullet points, and then the rest of it should be okay. But that front was a mess, and it had Brooke's thumbnail on there, so I figure, there we go. Oops, let's not click on that. Let's click on that. All right, so that's normally what I would have done ahead of the time. But what we did, as you see, is essentially take the description of this video over on YouTube. So that's what it looks like on YouTube. Pretty crappy. Just all a bunch of text, a couple of links. But over here on the Substack, not only does it get distributed to people like a blog, and it's archived and everything on a shared platform, but just lets me format it a little bit better. And the best thing is that it turns all these videos into thumbnail previews, so a lot more visually interesting for the people listening to this. But I'm sure this was super boring for the people listening as a podcast. That's what happens. All right, well, so let's dig into it. This is episode 1740, and that's what we're doing, is we're taking this list of things that would happen this week, at least the stuff that I'm aware of, and that's worthy of wasting your time with. And then we're listing it in the description of this video, and it usually takes about a week to create all this. And then we present it here on Friday Night Live as a collaborative thing. Hopefully people will start being part of the show again. It's really weird just having an audience. Back in the day, people used to really be part of the show and comment and have conversations and stuff, but we'll get back to that, I suppose. But then that element of it is fun for me, the human on this end of it. But the other part of it, the reason we do this is so that we can get that data, that stuff we just copied and pasted over here, over around the internet, or all around the internet. So we put it on Patreon, we put it on Substack. Often I'll stick it out on Locals and Minds and some of the other social platforms that are out there. And the idea, and then of course the podcasts, which I guess is a good opportunity to go up here and click on our podcasts, because I don't do that enough. But yeah, most of the people that are listening to this are listening to it as a podcast. As you see, we have it all over here on Podbean now, and that helps distribute. I guess I can show you. It helps distribute to iTunes, iHeartRadio, the Google, and Amazon. So a bunch of the big players out there, and it's essentially taking all these links that we're going to talk about today and send it out to all those folks. Now, it would be more useful if I could write, a little article with everything, maybe, but I don't have that kind of time. So we do what we can do, and we do this consistently, and we've been doing it for about 1,740 episodes. We started this in 2016. I was just looking at thinking about the intro to the show here today. I'm going to play the intro here in a second because I got to drink some water, and you don't want to listen to that. So I'm going to play this intro again, and I think I made this intro back when Bob was still the co-host. So that was a long time ago. It was probably like 2018 or 19. I forgot when Bob quit being a co-host, but that was the second intro. I'm going to play the first intro, which will give me time to drink a little bit of water here. It'll give you time to run around and do something for about 50 seconds. This intro is from back in the olden days.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right. So anyway, I was just thinking about that we've been doing the show for a while, 1,740 episodes. So this Friday show I started doing, I don't know, years and years and years ago. And I really like the concept, and hopefully we're doing something useful and productive with it. At the same time, we try to focus on the folks that are out there, doing stuff that's useful and not just wasting everybody's time. So let's dig into it. Welcome to everybody who's joining us live, I guess. I'll say hey to Kingpin, who's probably not live because it's late for him on the East Coast, but thanks for jumping in. Thanks for keeping Every Second Matters alive, by the way. Ashley also is chiming in early today, so she may or may not be out there. Krabby Turtle, probably also asleep, but I watched, what did I drive past? I drove past something that said the Krabby. It wasn't the Krabby Turtle, though. It was something else. But I almost did a U-turn and grabbed a picture of it, but I didn't want to cause an accident, so I didn't. Black Rifle Medic is out there as well, and Christian 740. Welcome, everybody. And please feel free to be part of the show. This is the internet, after all. This is not a movie. It's certainly not a fancy produced podcast. What we're trying to do here is be part of the conversation, right? We're trying to keep awareness alive, and participation is a big part of that. So feel free to be part of the show. If you're listening to this as a podcast, you can do that as well, just with a time shift. Leave a comment on the video here on YouTube or someplace else. We follow pretty much all of our comments, except for Facebook, I should say. If you've ever contacted us on Facebook, I probably should turn that stuff all off. I never read Facebook. I go there every once in a while because I have to for work. But I go there, I do things, and I leave. I don't even look at anything. So don't contact us on Facebook. But anywhere else, you can contact us, and we pretty much watch everything or read everything. So feel free to reach out if you're listening to this in the future as a podcast. But otherwise, let's dig into it. The 2A news of the week has been what's getting real shortchanged lately, because I just don't have much time to pursue my interests, which would be keeping up with it and then offering some perspective on it, I guess, is the way to say it, but really just some insight. I don't really care about my perspective as much as I'd like to see people understand the whole picture, right? And often we see from the stuff that's happening throughout the week, from people's reactions or from things that just come up in people's lives, we see aspects of our Second Amendment all over the place, whether it be, it could be a million things. But what people aren't able to do when they're reacting to either an issue or an attack or a great time or whatever it is, they don't have a chance to look at the history, look at the where it came from, the origin story or something like that. And that's the stuff I like to do. I like to hear about what's going on and then think, why is that happening? Or, why did it happen now? Or why is it these people that are doing it? And then dig in and do some research. That's always been my thing. And that's what this section of the show is about here. But I did not have a chance to do much of nothing except hear about the American Climate Corps. Has anybody heard about that? Sounds Nazi, doesn't it? So this is some sort of little group created by the federal government to create a corps. So a bunch of people who are going to be under some kind of organizational control run by the federal government to worry about our climate. So we don't have time to talk about that much anymore. And that's frustrating because, back in the day, that was one of the angles that they attacked freedom with. And now they found other ways, either a tactic or at least an opportunity that they figured out is if they attack people at like 100 different directions, then they start to take some things for granted or at face value. And when you create the narrative and put it up there, you get to say anything is agreed upon. So that's getting a little bit out of the gun community part here, or the gun realm here. But nonetheless, lots of stuff going on. It's an election year. This section here would be very full if I had the chance, depending on how long the show goes and if I get any feedback from people watching live. We can open up the email from NSSF, which is normally where I like get the seeds for this section of the show when I have the plenty of time in a week to do it. But we'll quit moaning and groaning about not having time for that, and we'll move into the next section of the show, which is the Second Amendment stuff. Later on, we'll talk about the gun-related stuff. I think of these things separately. The gun stuff is like our toys and our tools and our tactics and all the fun stuff and all the difficult stuff and all the other stuff. It's the stuff. Where the 2A side of it is the theoretical. It's our freedom, it's the laws, it's the necessity to defend our freedom through legislation and awareness and all those things. And then, of course, the struggle, the fight, and all those SOBs that are here to exploit us, because it's an election year and this is when all the money gets made. So we'll go to the 2A stuff first, then we'll get into that gun stuff. I do like the gun stuff. I just separate them. And then, hey, what happened here? Oh, looks like somebody dropped their chat, Gizzard. And then we'll get into some radio shows that I listen to that I like to promote. And then a couple of the military interview shows, although there was a military history thing this week. And then normally I would show you the stuff that I did this week or that we did, but I didn't do nothing, and that means we didn't do nothing. So we'll dig into the 2A stuff to get it started. Welcome to Enigma out there. And Gunmetal Guy USA is joining us. Good evening, probably at work, I'm guessing. A lot of people listen to the show on shift. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for being out there doing the stuff that most people take for granted. Always appreciate it. That's why I do the show in the middle of the night, by the way. Like to do this show all night, every night. How cool would that be? Maybe with 4 times the Patreons. I guess that gives me a good chance to say thanks to our Patreons, the people that subscribe to what we do here. It's more than just this podcast. We call ourselves Gun Websites because we have a whole bunch of websites out there, dozens and dozens right now. It'll be hundreds when they're all up and running. Those things are out there doing things. They have purpose. We don't just have a bunch of wasting people's time or creating places to put ads. We can do that. I've done that before for sure, but not for gun stuff. I do that for pizza places and I do that for lawyers and stuff. But with gun stuff, it's just ad free. It's just all out there to inform, inspire, motivate, and create awareness. And all of that is supported by our patrons. There's 3 servers that we put all that stuff on. There's some software, a little bit. Actually, I just paid for, let's bring that up. I just started paying for ChatGPT again today. I paid for ChatGPT early last year because I was really digging it and I wanted to learn more about it, but it was killing me. I was super poor last year and I had to quit paying for it. Even with the Patreons and everything, I almost lost the house. So I had to quit paying for it and I just used it free. And I've been stumbling along using it for free. It's not bad free, but I heard that they've added some things to it. So I decided to start paying for it again. And again, thanks to the Patreons who make that even an opportunity, a possibility. It's $20. It's not like it's killing me, but it's $120 a year, right? $240 a year. It'll be $20 a year, $20 a month. But it's another story, I guess. But thanks to those Patreons for making it possible for us to do all this stuff and to spend the time on this. I would do it probably, but it would get kicked to the curb. Right now, I'm killing bills, killing the taxes that happen when you kill bills. And again, did I say hey to Garage Guy? Welcome. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks everybody for saying hey. It's always creepy to be just chatting to a microphone. I know some people dig that probably. I don't. I'm so used to the internet since I got on this thing in the 90s at AOL. I worked at AOL. So I literally have been chatting constantly online since the 90s. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Even, we had text to text or speech to text back then. It's kind of like war games almost. But then, as internet got faster and we could do stuff, I've literally been online almost every night, all the time. So I'm used to my shows. Most of these 1,700 shows are conversations, right? So I do appreciate the people that are awake enough to text and comment and, still be joining us and sticking through it. Or sticking through the boring parts, I guess. And the dog snoring, by the way. That's our co-host over here. You may or may not be able to hear him making his noises. He didn't even do nothing today. He just sat around watching me supervising today. He didn't go anywhere or do nothing. He watched me put in a cable, but that's about it. But it exhausted him. So he'll be sitting over here making his noises. He's not really dying. He just sounds like he's being squished, I guess. All right, we start out every week with the most 2A stuff and then kind of let it trickle down into the gun stuff and then the rest. So I'm not saying that the stuff that happens at the top of the list is the most important or the most relevant. I'm just saying that I want to make sure to always address it first, because what Brooke Cheney is doing over at Suicide Prevention Saturday is really some of the only work that's being done. We are being attacked by anti-gunners, right? And those anti-gunners are really anti-rights. They're using guns as a vector, a thing to hold on to complain about. And they use guns by fiddling with the numbers. And what do we mean by that? 2 out of 3 deaths with a firearm are from suicide. And they only use the full number when they need to. And then they ignore the suicides whenever they need to. So if they were doing it with anything else, they'd be called frauds and liars. But because they harness emotions and they own the narratives, they're able to continue this thing. And unfortunately, we've got people on our side who are more than happy, because they're getting paid well, to continue that back and forth. Brooke is attempting to change that half an hour at a time every Saturday with her focus on mental health awareness and suicide prevention. She's literally, dealing with the consequences of having a channel that says suicide every Saturday, and YouTube's inability to understand, the therapeutic / positive messaging and the creation of awareness. They're not able to separate that from whatever mal intent they could come up with. What a bad co-host. I've had worse co-hosts, but holy moly, this guy's not a good co-host. That was him sneezing, by the way. And then he knocked into this can that's sitting here. Or an insulated bottle of water. So anyhow, the antis are using a tactic that they've been using for a long, long time. And they stand on not just the deaths, but the lack of awareness. And they do nothing to change that because they profit from it. And unfortunately, like I say, the one-trick pony national level organizations we have only know how to do lawsuits. So that's all they ever attempt to do, even though we have other means available to us. And Brooke, again, 30 minutes or so each Saturday, attempting to create the ability for those of us that give a shit about this to have more relevant conversations about mental health awareness, suicide prevention, understanding the topic, the words, the conversations, and motivating each other to keep with it while it's essentially ignored by most of what else is going on out there. And again, against the tide, against the current. YouTube doesn't see a reason to see a difference between positive talk about the subject and whatever they decide isn't worth persecuting. So she's doing it at the loss of her channel's success. So bravo to Brooke, and you should check it out. She's got she got Hillbilly Up's hat in her hand there. She's the only one who purchased one of Cowboy Art's hats. And maybe I'm getting tired. I don't drink coffee anymore. All right, so I can't say these three ladies are the most hardworking ladies, but they're the three most hardworking ladies I know. That would be Brooke, unapologetically armed, Susan out of Missouri, and Melissa, Dragon Man's daughter. We're just going to listen to this because I'm going to punch my dog a bunch of times because he's making all these noises, and then we can listen to Melissa tell us quickly about the update here in California. And I'm going to show you a trick. You click play. Then you go down to the little gear over here and you flip it to fast. And that's what we're going to do. So we listen to it a little bit quicker tonight. Assuming my internet works. Am I still connected? What's going on here?
Hey, Melissa here. I'm at Dragon Man's. If you don't know.
So I've set it up to 1.5 speed.
Recreational facility in Colorado.
I set it up to 1.5 speed. Oh my goodness. Maybe I just have bad internet and it's just not going to work. Dude, you're ruining the show. I guess we're not going to be able to do it. I'm trying to work her show, but it's not letting me work her show.
Parks, dirt bike tracks, a military museum. We give farm training classes, and it's just been a fun place for people to come for years and years. We're the longest running shooting range in Colorado Springs. We've been here since 1982. I don't know if you've been watching this channel. I've just been trying to keep you guys all up to date on what's going on with Colorado gun bills. There's been a lot of them, more than any that we've ever seen in any given year. So naturally, I do feel like the gun community feels like it is kind of a personal attack because they're just coming at every angle, a lot of these representatives. And I'm just going to break it down and let you guys all know the current status of a lot of these. So a couple of days ago, I made a video on the pending assault semi-automatic. I don't like to call it the assault weapons bill because they are not assault weapons. They are just semi-automatic firearms, and it is a ban bill, essentially to ban 80% of the firearms that we would sell here at Dragon Man's and any other given firearm store in Colorado. It's one of the worst bills, the worst in California, worst in Washington, because not only does it specify the aesthetics and if it has one or two or more of certain criteria, but then it also just outright bans certain makes and models. So even if it were compliant, based off of that making...
I don't want to keep playing it at fast speed because it makes her sound like Kermit the Frog or whatever, but I do listen to stuff at double speed often because I know what they're saying. I just have to, hear the order of the words to understand the news of the day, but they're not using words that are unfamiliar to us, and we know what the deal is. We're just trying to hear, what the status of these certain bills and whatnot. But she's a little incorrect in that it's not the most things that have been thrown at Colorado before, but it's probably the most things that she's been paying attention to. The last time it happened, luckily, was years ago. But Colorado is one of those states like Arizona and like Nevada and like Washington and Oregon already have happened. People from California and the ideas that they've got that come with them move from California because it's shitty or whatever, and or they just decide they want to go someplace else, live with their family or whatever, and they take their weird ideas with them, and then nobody else does anything, and those weird ideas start to take over. Hey, what do you keep sneezing over here, buddy? It's the worst co-host in this show. So I would highly recommend you check out Melissa's. She does a great summary. It's only 10-minute long, but it takes that long to discuss the different aspects of what's going on up there. They have a bunch of things that are happening. I guess another thing I was going to mention is not to downplay what's happening in Colorado, but compared to what's happening, what's already happened in Washington and Oregon, right? Compared to what's already happening, what they've been living under for years, but on the East Coast, but what's happening in is it Pennsylvania still? I haven't been paying attention, but definitely Massachusetts, New Jersey, and a couple other states. What Colorado is dealing with is a portion. It's a slice of what the BS pie that some of the states have been getting. So, again, we have more than enough people on our side. If we had national level organizations that actually cared about distributing effort and resources instead of just absorbing resources and creating lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit and jumping up and down every time a lawsuit happens, we should be able to do lawsuits with one hand, but like an octopus or something, be doing like 8 other things or whatever it comes out to, right? Like to be able to do many things. But thanks to Melissa for giving us a great summary. So let's see. So we started out the show in Connecticut, then Colorado. Now we're going to Indiana. And a couple of things to talk about here. One of my favorite podcasts recently is Forge of Freedom. Alex does a great job of summarizing the issues of the day with completeness. So it's not just the headlines like I'm trying to do here, but he digs into them, but rarely more than 20 minutes or half an hour. So they're consumable, thorough investigations into topics of the day. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the most digestible as well. Like it's not all hype and it's not trying to do nothing except explain and get people understanding this stuff. So some of the best presentation, I guess, of what's going on, especially of all the lawyers, hands down, the best of all the lawyers. Come on, buddy. What's happening over here? Come on. What's going on? I've never had this happen before in this show. We've 1,700 shows and this had never happened before. I don't know. He was sniffing. He was sniffing something bad because he's making this many sneezes about it. So their first show that we're going to talk about is episode 120. Their podcast number 120, and they're talking about they break down the final rule and what it means to be engaged in business. Then the one before that was a yawn and a hiccup at the same time, and it didn't work. Neither one of them happened. That was me. So I'm getting him from whatever he's got going on over there. Let's see. Then their show before that was talking about FISA, and I need to listen to this one because I have not listened to this one yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Like I just said, their summary will be the most concise and useful that I've found out there. Then we have a couple of things, I think, a couple of things with Walk Talk America. You think this is scripted or something? He's just bad. This is how you know he's a bad dog. Because we're trying to do a podcast over here. You need to go down? You need to poke in the nose? Let me poke him in the nose a bunch of times. See if that helps. I poked him in the nose about 13 times. See if that helps him. Walk Talk America has been doing their podcast weekly now for a while. And they're just, I don't know what they're doing. They're throwing a dice and just doing it whenever they feel like. They're doing the Clover School of podcasting. They just do their podcast whenever they feel like. I've definitely been guilty of this, but I'm not trying to do a good podcast. I'm just doing stuff. But, whatever. They did, I think this one was at their normal schedule, Friday morning. I just missed it. But it must have started, and then something glitched because then they posted it again. But they also posted this one, which I did not watch. So are they numbering them? No. But this one is numbered episode 107, Positive Legislation for Firearms. Well, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth even saying it. So I'm going to watch this one just to see what's up. But really, again, we don't have very many organizations that are focused on what they would call what Walk the Talk America would say, the intersection of firearms and, no, wait, what do they say? The intersection of firearms and the medical community or something like that. So, normalizing mental health, making it possible for us to have more relevant conversations with the other side who are ignorant because they're not aware of the situation and are being led astray and being used against us once they understand the situation. I suspect a lot of them will feel upset that they've been used. So I think just from that angle, Walk Talk America is doing great stuff, but of course they are also dealing with the medical side of it more than anyone else has, period, in all of time that I'm aware of, as far as creating the awareness with physicians the same way that physicians would be aware of someone who's pregnant or someone who has, I don't know, like was left-handed or something, like, something that the person would have that the doctor might not have, that the doctor would be aware of so that they can be a better doctor, right? So what Walk Talk America is challenging themselves with is good stuff. They've been around for a little while and they're getting it done. Imagine if we had national level organizations that actually gave a shit about these angles instead of lawsuits, because Walk Talk America with funding and with like more than 3 or 4 people could be amazing. I mean, it's amazing what they're doing with 3 or 4 people, but why are we satisfied with a piddly ass one national level organization even focused on this? I'm not saying piddly ass, but they're piddly ass compared to the millions of dollars that other organizations are making. Let's see, about FISA, Speaker Johnson sold us out. His reasoning was awful. That's from Enigma. Yeah, I don't even pay attention to the normal politics. This is an election year, so they're going to be doing all kinds of this and that and what's and futs and shit. So endless amount of things to pay attention to. I am relying on everybody else out there to be aware of that and to, raise the alarm when there's something to be done. But keeping up with the back and forth of the tennis game is something I'm not going to be able to do this year for sure. Let's see. Next is, I guess this is an excerpt from, but it's an opportunity to talk about Professor Yamane, who actually was the guest on Walk Talk America over here. I didn't even say, but I guess Walk Talk America had Professor Yamane on. Like I say, they glitched or something, so I haven't listened to that show. It was on earlier today, and I've been busy all day. But I'm looking forward to checking that out. So Professor Yamane does a class on gun culture at Wake Forest University in South Carolina. And I think it's South Carolina. And he's been offering a 7-episode version or mini version of his course online via Zoom. So this week was episode 4. So we hit the kind of the hump, I guess, and now there'll be 3 more episodes left. It's been interesting. Something like 50 to 150 people show up live into the Zoom call, and there's a conversation happening while the professor presents that day's like hours worth of stuff. And then at the end, questions that get arose or get put up, some of the questions that get put up get answered or addressed for usually another half an hour or something. So it's been interesting, especially with the number of people who've been in the audience for this. It's a who's who, definitely a who's who of people that are paying attention to what's been going on over the years. And it's not your people that you're not your name brand Second Amendment activists. It's like people that are actually kind of extreme in their different fields. So it's been pretty interesting. I mean, definitely some people you're going to know for sure. But not everyone's going to know all these. They're not all common names. They're all tops in their fields, though. The ones that I've seen say stuff, training and mostly training, I guess, but training from different angles. What are you sneezing so weird for? He's sneezing all weird too. Like he's not even sneezing normally. Are you asleep sneezing? Maybe he's asleep. No, he's awake. Anyway, so I can't link you to the class. You need to sign up for the class. It's free. You can sign up for it and take the rest of it if you want. But since there's no point in trying to link to a Zoom, I just linked to this excerpt that he did. All that being said, I hardly agree with the professor on many of these things. He keeps saying that we're in gun culture 2.0, and all the way up until just recently has been gun culture 1, and I can't live with that. I don't get that at all. But anyway, that's the concept of this, and now we're living in gun culture 2. Everything up until now was 1, and now we're in 2. Okay. So it's worth listening to, and there's definitely a lot of conversation in there. And like I say, interesting group of people with different points of view. Let's see. Then we've got Gun Owners America. What do you think of this? I don't like this shit. So I'm not going to get into it because it's the middle of the night. Nobody cares anyway. But we can do better. Then we got Maj. Speaking of people getting shit done. So this is kind of interesting. I don't think anybody else is talking about the Breakfast Club out there. At least mainstream. So, they're just reading the script, essentially. Whatever this guy's face is, says a bunch of stuff off of a script and is really getting off on it. And then Maj does like a commentary on it. It's pretty decent. Maj doesn't get enough credit for being one of the only boots on the ground, especially where he's at in Philadelphia, but being one of the only boots on the ground. Pretty much him, KD, when he was still in St. Louis. Rhonda Ezel does stuff with Chicago. Of course, Rick Ector in Detroit. But there's very few people that are actually getting out there and doing things. I guess you could say something chamber in Dallas. But everybody else is just doing their thing. Let's see. So I dig Maj, and I wish he'd get more. He only needs like $200,000, and he'd own that building in Philadelphia and be set for all of 2024. $200,000. As soon as I can get it back at it, I need to do the calendar, of course. I keep talking about wanting to do that, but of course, with what's going on in Colorado, I can't wait to get back and do the numbers. You notice nobody else has ever posted any of the numbers that I posted 2 years ago now. Has anybody else ever posted the numbers on how much these organizations make? Everybody wants to bitch and moan about the NRA because it's easy and because the NRA can't fight back. They're too big. And yeah, it's nuts. The ones that people don't even pay attention to are making shit tons of money, and they ain't doing shit. And Maj, meanwhile, is essentially raising money from, it's got to be a fairly small group of people, and doing amazing shit with it. Then we get to the gun talk section of it. So there probably was more Second Amendment stuff happen this week. But like I say, I can only do what I can do. So this is by no means meant to be everything that happened or the best of what happened or anything like that. It's just what I've seen or what I've watched. And then we'll move on to the gun talk section of it. And I usually start that off with She Fires, who's keeping everybody together on Sundays. I'm a big fan of the people out there that keep our communities together. There's very few gun owners, and we like to divide ourselves up all the dang time. But when's the last time you talked to a cowboy shooter? When's the last time you talked to somebody who shoots like long range that isn't hunting? When's the last time you talked to somebody who does hunt? And then when's the last time you talked to a duck hunter or somebody that hunts for, I don't know, squirrels or something? Like we pretty much mind our business, and we all know that we're each out there, but there's very few people that keep us together and aware of each other. And the people that do that online are the ones I see. We've got Chris from the 740 is out there. He's one. Who else is out there? Nobody else tonight, I guess. But Kingpin, Krabby Turtle, helping being the non-host version, like a DJ. And then you got your Gizzard, had the show just on before the show on just before this one. I really appreciate folks that keep us together when we need to fight. It's much more difficult when we have to first figure out who's on our side. When we can go somewhere like the VFW hall, when we can go somewhere like the volunteer fire department, like when we can go somewhere that we can meet, even if it's just the park where we've hung out before, but we know we can go to the park where all our friends are at. that's what it's all about. And that just don't happen. We don't just get that. Like YouTube doesn't provide that. But people like She Fires, people like Chris, people like Gizzard, now Hillbilly, those are the folks that have taken the extra and started something. So I really appreciate She Fires doing her show. I haven't been able to watch it on Sundays. I won't be able to watch. Well, I might be able to watch it this Sunday. It's just Sundays have just, for whatever reason, super busy for me lately. But that's a live show on top of it. Let's see. This was awesome. I wish there was a way to play this one, but with Snorty over here snorting the whole time, it's not going to be worth it. This is worth listening to, though. It's from Sonny. He's a Spetsnaz guy who at some point left Russia and came over here. But this is one of the dudes that AKs were made for. To people like him, we're going to grab them and kill us. So it's an interesting turn of events now in 2024 that a dude that grew up and trained and was ready to, do everything bad that could be done to us, eventually ended up, I met Sonny when he first started doing his DVDs, training or showing people from this country, or the East, I guess. Wait, are we the West? Whatever we are. The fundamentals of some of the Spetsnaz stuff. And I was really into the AKs at the time. So the way that he trained with an AK, the Russian style of training with an AK, was really interesting. Anyway, so ever since then, Sonny has been doing all kinds of stuff in the United States, based out of Florida. And he's had his podcast for a while. And in addition to his podcast, of course, he's been training. And this is a conversation or a story he tells that happened last year, about a year ago. And kind of fortuitous, I don't know what the word would be, but like kind of makes your hair stand up kind of a story. And we talked a little bit about suicide earlier. It kind of touches that. And like I say, if you're going to listen to something this week and you want to be touched by something, this is worth listening to. I think it's 20 minutes or something. It's 20 minutes. All right, we'll move on to gun food. Let's see. You guys are talking about the FISA thing. I don't know anything about it, so I'll let you just talk about it without commenting. But yeah, I totally understand. It's frustrating. A guy started getting really pissed with the bipartisan gun control that they did 2 years ago, and we're seeing the effects of it. Nobody gave a shit when it happened because it wasn't marketed well. There was no lawsuit, I guess, to yell about. But and they kind of knew that as soon as all that shit took place, they'd be able to reap the benefits, the bounty, so to speak, when everybody got offended. But that's what we're seeing now, is all that money that was allocated 2 years ago to pay back Bloomberg, essentially, being allocated to pay back Bloomberg. What do you know? Anyhow, we'll get moving. Anyway, that's, I guess, when I started to get discouraged with the most recently, I guess, with the politics. All right, we'll get into the gun food. One of the ammo companies out there that is supporting those who support us. One of the people that attends Katie's Train and Learn, which is coming up on Memorial Day weekend, and does a quick video. It's like 6 minutes long or something, 5 minutes long, and he talks about the kind of hidden costs in ammunition. When you see something super cheap, like listed super cheap, he kind of breaks down some of the quote-unquote fees that get attributed after the advertised price. That's kind of a good point. I haven't bought ammo online in a long time, but those kind of tactics have always been an issue when you have things like hazmat and handling and heavy things. When you have both hazmat and heavy, that just means there's lots of room to hide some fees, right? All right, so then we get Gun and Gear Review. They do a podcast. A bunch of people get together and do this podcast each Tuesday. So it kind of happens right on top of Ghost. Or if Ghost goes long, he quirks them. Actually, yeah. If Ghost goes long, he quirks them. That's what I'm trying to say. Speaking of Ghost, this is a different show called Digital Under. No, this is S2. No, what is this one? This is, yeah. The Come on, man. Getting sleepy. This is S2
I saved hundreds with
Underground.
remote control.
And essentially, it's one of the radio stations, radio-focused communications, intel-focused channels that I follow. And this is a pretty good one. It's a 2-hour Q&A about GhostNet. And GhostNet is a protocol, essentially, but an effort by this channel, by a group of people who are more than just hams. Anybody can be a ham. That's like saying you have a driver's license. Who cares? Everybody has a driver's license. But what kind of car do you have? Okay, that kind of can be a thing. Like, oh, we're a car club or something. We all have the same kind of car. Maybe you're a motorcycle club or something. You drive around motorcycles. Or maybe you're one of these people like out here in the desert. People will get together and drive around the desert all weekend. Some people drive fast, right? Like they race or something. So like it depends what you're going to do with your license, right? So it's kind of like a ham. Ham radio license doesn't mean nothing. It's just like having a driver's license. So what you do with your ham is what makes you interesting or useless. And most people that get a ham radio license buy a radio and do nothing with it. And those are the regular people. Then the people that are nerds get on there. They spend $1 billion on their ham radio stuff and they talk to each other. And that's it. And they kind of look down at the rest of the world because we don't talk to each other on radios. And they're super weird. And they just talk to each other about radios on their radios. And whenever anybody else comes around, if you're not talking about radios, they think less of you and they don't want to talk to you. So they don't even help or nothing. They're really weird usually. And that's where most people who get into hams stop. So I like that some of these channels out here are using radios for other things besides being annoying. And in this case, it's setting up a procedure, a protocol, I guess, a system, so that people who want to can be informed on something other than the internet or email or telephones or whatever. So anyway, this is a concept that's been going on for a bit, and this is a 2-hour Q&A about that. So if you want to know more about it, this is a great place to find out more about it by kind of stepping in and being in a conversation that's already taken place, right? It's not starting from scratch and explaining it to you, but unless you're a child, you don't need that most of the time, right? You just need to kind of get into the hang of it. So this might be the perfect way to do it. You don't need to be able to transmit. You don't need a ham radio license to be part of this. This can be a information gathering intelligence effort as well as a effort in using your radio. In fact, unless you have something to say, you don't really need to use your radio. You just listen to stuff, right? Yep, puppy is, I was going to say, exhausted from supervising all day. He, every once in a while, he'll go outside and do his business, but the rest of the time, he just sits around watching me all day. Mario's saying puppy's asleep. So, we wake up like 4 to 6 a.m. usually, and then he takes a little nap because he doesn't like waking up that early. And then whenever I eat breakfast, he demands some food. He'll inspect it. He likes to taste it in case there's any poison, just to make sure. And then after a little while, he'll eat breakfast, his own breakfast, and then he'll have a nap. And then whatever I'm doing, he'll have to, sometimes if I'm doing something in a different room, he has to get up and follow me around. That's exhausting. So he'll nap again. And then after a day's worth of all that, he's exhausted. So he's sleeping over here. But you missed him having his sneezing fits for most of the show. Anyway, welcome. California, right? I guess I don't know where all the rest of you are. Chris is in Ohio. And Gunmetal Guy, man, I want to say Texas, but I'm probably wrong. It's probably Missouri. So if I've sent you something and you think I remember your address, you're wrong. Woods, I remember, because it used to be PNW Woods. He's in the PNW. Yeah, and I've got to pay cheese tax often, but I can get around having to pay a dog tax if I eat things that are hot or chocolate. I haven't eaten anything chocolate in a while, but I do eat things that are hot. But these dogs have become addicted to oranges. I don't know if your dogs eat oranges, but these dogs get seriously offended if I eat an orange without giving them some now. And I give them oranges. I figure it's Arizona, they can't, the water is good for them. I imagine sugar is okay. This was Gizzard's members only chat, but I guess nobody's allowed to look at that except for Gizzard. This is the chat you can look at. Gizzard's show that was on right before this. Oh, Oxnard, right on. I'm a big fan of Rockford Files, right down the south of you there. Whenever I go to California, which is very rarely anymore. But for a couple of years there, maybe 3, not in concurrent years, but maybe like 3 years, I would go do my taxes over in California, and I would hang out on that one beach right by Rockford Files. That's my favorite place to go. And then look at LA, I guess, a little bit, and look at that ocean. I've seen dolphins and stuff out there. And then one time I got over to Oxnard, but I didn't drive one. I went up the hill. I don't know which road I went on, but I went up and then over and then came to the left and went back down. But it was also in the middle of the night, so I've only seen Oxnard in the middle of the night. But I did sleep in Oxnard one time because of Rockford Files talks about Oxnard all the time. Anyway, sorry, but thanks for letting us know. That's cool. All right, so Gizzard has a show on before this one. I mentioned there's some people that keep the community together, and other people are the community, right? And you only need a couple of people to keep it together. And Gizzard has been doing that for quite a while now. He used to do 2 shows for a long time. He did a 4-hour show every Sunday morning. Can you imagine that? Being obligated to go 4 hours every Sunday morning. And he wasn't like making ads. He wasn't getting any super chats. You've seen shows where people will super chat just to say some dumb shit so that the person on this end of it goes blah, 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 for $2 or for $4. Think about how many times that happens. Think about that income source. Yeah, it's no problem to sit there for 2 hours when you're making bank. When I don't think Gizzard got a super chat. If he ever got a super chat, I'd be surprised. Oh, I'm sure he got a couple, but I'd be surprised if Gizzard got $100 worth of super chats total. Like Gizzard is not doing it for the money. I mean, I'm sure he'd take the money if you gave it to him, but he certainly isn't doing it with any kind of intent that way. And for a long, long time, for Saturday, Sunday morning, I got a lot of work done. Knowing Gizzard was going to be there to be able to get work done. I get a lot of work done while I'm listening to these shows. I'm here for a month and a half and then moving to Texas. Right on. Rockford is better than Beretta. Well, I agree for sure. Because one, Beretta is named after a dumb gun. But also, Beretta's not. I was thinking of guy with the coat. Columbo and Rockford would be a tougher one. Beretta, I don't think I've seen Beretta too many times. He's got a bird, right? I don't respect birds, so I don't watch bird shows. It's not. I'll watch a show about a monkey, for sure. You have to watch that. I'll watch a show about a dog, of course. A cat, I don't know, maybe. But a bird, nah. Birds aren't even real. Oh, I would definitely keep your membership with the California Rifle and Pistol Association. By the way, is their website back up? I know they've been doing some kind of upgrade, which is never fun. Hey, there's DJ out there. Welcome. All right, so one of the people that keeps the place together in the middle of the night like this is, well, actually the only other person keeping things together in the middle of the night like this is Voss. And he's the one that does our commercials for us, which I'll play here in a minute, so that gives me a chance to drink something. But, oh shit, Woods is saying Columbo is better than Rockford? I don't know. Columbo only had his wife. Well, I don't say only, but Columbo had a wife and he never did nothing. Rockford, literally every single show, Rockford has got some new lady friend. Plus, Columbo's got that shitty old car. It's kind of neat, but Rockford Files is constantly driving around. For crying out loud, in one of the pilots, depending on which you want to call the actual pilot, of Rockford Files, he shoots down a small aircraft with a revolver, with a J-frame 38 revolver. In the first episode, he shoots down a light aircraft with a 38 revolver. I'm pretty sure Rockford Files beats Columbo. Although I like watching Columbo. I've seen all of both of them, including all their like miniseries movies and stuff. Anyway, so Voss does keep the show, his shows going every Wednesday with the long format overnight show. No topic, just join in and be part of the show. And then every other Saturday, he hosts the overnight. So I guess this is the overnight, and this is the mouse party. Threw me because there's a mouse on it. But both ways, same thing. And did you notice that this week, overnight 87, mouse party 87? And he didn't even make it 1987 themed, which I feel like he could have if he realized that both of his shows, which is weird because one of them happens every week and he started it at one point, and the other one happens every other week, and it was one every week, and then it switched to every other week, and it flips every once in a while when his work schedule gets weird. So there's no way he could have anticipated these coinciding like that, but they both coincided. And you know what happens if you divide 87 in half? That's right. So anyway, so every Wednesday he goes live, and then every other Saturday he goes live. Boom. In the middle of the night for all the people that are getting stuff done and maybe just can't sleep or whatever. We talked about S2 Underground earlier because of this GhostNet project, but I like radios and stuff. They're neat. They're fun. Get them cheap. Don't spend any money on them because radios will get you killed. And this is one of the reasons I say that. So this is from a year, and those actually might be 3 years old. But radios are sending out a thing in a circle, radio waves in a circle. Just like, think of if you're in a lake and somebody was looking for you in the lake and you decided to start splashing around. And it was a calm water. There's no ripples. There's no waves. It's ice, glass, smooth water. They're looking for you, and you're going to start splashing around out there. How hard is it going to be for them to find you? All they got to do is look at the ripples and see where they're coming from, and they literally point right to you because the ripples radiate equally from you. So that means when they look at the ripples for you, they're going to literally point them right to you. Well, the same exact thing happens with radios. And if you were trying to hide from your neighbor down the street with a single walkie-talkie, yeah, radios are fine. But when your adversary has multiple radios all around you, that's like having 16 people looking at that lake and you start splashing. They know exactly where you are as soon as you start splashing. So radios are great for listening. As soon as you touch the key on it, you're dead. And you don't think they can send a piece of ordnance over to you? They don't even have to think about it. It might happen automatically. So radios will kill you. They do not fall for here's the radios you should buy for your go bag. Blech. That's somebody trying to make a buck off of selling you radios. I can tell you all about making a buck off of selling you radios. I'd rather you understand that a scanner, right, a device that is a radio technically, but it's listening, doesn't say anything, can be just as useful and probably more useful than buying yourself a radio. But whatever. Check this out if you want. It's probably long. He does not make short videos, but or go be a ham radio operator and you'll figure it out. But essentially, I think I used a pretty good thing there. Using a radio is immediately saying, here's where I am, everybody, unless you're really, 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 really good. And nobody's really good. Everybody's going to be found out. Remember I mentioned the radio people who sit around with millions of dollars worth of radios? They also love rules. And as soon as somebody breaks a rule around them that they can use their radios to narc on you, then they're going to do that. So they'll be the first ones to work for whoever the state is because they like their radios and they don't like to be uncomfortable and they want their radios and they'll do whatever they have to do to keep their radios, including working for the state. But what do I know? So we'll keep moving. All right, so snakes in the springtime. I also live in Arizona, and I like critters, and this is our game and fish department, who they used to do a cool TV show, and they kind of switched it to the internet, and they're only usually 20 minutes, 23 minutes. So if you're interested in living or seeing what it's like living in the desert, don't move here. There's no reason to move here. You could visit here if you want, I guess, but if you want to see what it's like here, think about how hot it is here and how many bugs we have here. There's so many bugs here. Bugs that'll kill you. They're horrible bugs. Most of us die from the bugs. And the poisonous other things, reptiles and birds. There's poisonous birds here. So, and bats. There's bats with stingers on them. They're kind of like manta rays, but they fly at night and they're quiet like an owl. So don't move here. But if you want to watch this video, feel free. It's pretty neat. My dog was bitten by one of them flying bats tonight, and that's why he's got this snortitis. He can't stop snorting. Then we get into our radio shows that we listen to. A couple of radio shows I listen to. First one is Gun Owners Radio. If Mr. Knives was here, he would say hey because he listens to that show also. Mike White also listens to that one. Every once in a while, Calaveras, but I don't think he ever listens to this show. But, we do have people from California out there. So if you haven't listened to Gun Owners Radio, they're down in San Diego. Good folks, really good organization, one of the better ones out there. Really a well-rounded and active rights organization, cutting edge in their point of view and focus as well. Great show, and they've been leaving it on. They do an actual radio show, so while they're broadcasting on Sunday, they simulcast a stream to YouTube and maybe other places. I watch it on YouTube. But because of their internet problems, or maybe I don't know why, I guess I have no idea why, but for whatever reason, they usually kill the show around Wednesday, and it's just a dead link by the time I get here on Friday. So this week, or last couple of times I've done this, they've left the show up. So that's a kind of a treat. You get to watch the whole Raw show because they started listening to or being like being part of the conversation in the side chat, in the text chat during the commercials, just like some of the other radio shows, like the next one we'll talk about, Rapid Fire Radio, which is cool because they definitely have the ability to keep up with what we're saying out in the chat. They just never bothered to look over. Now that they are, I look forward to the commercials as much as anything else because they're like a group of people responding to the comments in the commercials. So it's really cool to listen to that show live. And if you can't listen to it live because you're not around on Sunday or you forget or something, having the live show up lets you be part of all that. And Mr. Knives is in there, and like I say, Mike White and some other people that I don't know. But and then, like I said, it's usually a pretty decent show. It's like an hour, 2 hours. It's a long show too. Let's see. Well, this one is 40 minutes, but they also have bad internet, and they oftentimes have to kind of restart the show. All right, next we'll get to, you know what? I just thought of something that I said I was going to play one of FISA's commercials over here, and now that I can barely speak, I'm going to play his commercial. Thanks again for making these for us, and now I can go get something to drink here, so I'll be right back. But check this out. Thanks to FISA for making this for us.
Sir, why are you in Barry's fishing net? He ran right into it. Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty apes! First off, that is incredibly rude. You ran straight into Barry's fishing net. It's ruined. How is Barry gonna fish now? I'm just trying to find some patches and some stickers. Well, all you have to do is go to gearwebsites.com and you can find 2A related stickers and patches. And even if you need web consulting, technology consulting, 3D printing, anything like that, gearwebsites.com. Now please get out of the net. I'm sorry, jerk.
And that gave me time to upload the newest one. So thanks to Foss for hosting these shows, but also for finding the time to make us some commercials for the Gear website store. Those aren't just fun commercials in the middle, fun cartoons in the middle of the show. Those are actually commercials for our store. And I don't really say it enough, but we do have a store out there. I think DJ probably linked to it. But here's another link. It's our store. We're capitalists. If you like to see us succeed and grow and do more stuff again, then please purchase stuff at our store. People have been doing it for a while and had good luck with it. Enjoy the stuff that we've got over there. And stay tuned for much. You can't believe how much more there'll be soon. Let's see. Pat is joining us. Little pug on the screen. Look at that. There's two pugs next to each other on the screen. Look at that. Look at that. He's kind of sleeping on top of your pug. Okay, so then that's the Gun Owners Radio. Then we get to Rapid Fire Radio. Toby over at Cape Gun Works in Massachusetts does a couple of different shows each week. So I don't think he played them all this week. Am I trying to remember now? I think he did not do the Tuesday show that he normally would do, hosting with or doing a 45-minute segment with Grace Curley. But he did do his Wednesday show. I missed it. And he did his Sunday show. I also missed it. But Toby is a gun shop owner and been a gun owner his whole life, pretty much, well, a good chunk of his life. And he's in Massachusetts. So they're dealing with a whole nother layer of infringements, constantly dealing with them, and then more on the way. And at the same time, people just interested in either hunting or competition shooting or just general questions, either new to guns or old timers asking specific questions. And Toby does a great job of addressing all of those and keeping it, I don't know how to say it, like, keeping a good mix, keeping it so that it does get kind of heavy on Massachusetts law, of course, because they're getting wailed on right now. But aside from that eventuality, I don't know too many shows where the host is able to keep it interesting and not either be so superficial that he's just like smiling and saying, yeah. Because there's a lot of hosts that do that and don't know what the hell they're talking about. Toby has a lot of knowledge about things that are out there and something to add to most things that are said out there. But he also doesn't go on and on and on and on like I'm doing. So I really do enjoy his shows, and they're real. I know Toby. I've been watching the show for a while now, and I can tell you, you see what you get. There's no fake gimmicky stuff. So I imagine, if I'm allowed to say it, you may want to check out their shop if you ever need anything, because they do a bunch of stuff mail order. Right, so next we're getting into, now there are some other radio shows, or there have been some other radio shows, and that's why this is a whole segment of the show. But if you know of other radio shows that are happening out there that are focused on Second Amendment, for sure, please let me know. There is only the one other one, and it's just the audio is so bad usually, and it's intermittent, so I don't even try to watch it. It's also quirking two of the other things that happened on Sunday. But unfortunately, we lost a couple, and I'm going to leave the segment here. But if you know of stuff that I'm missing, let me know, because you never know. These things don't last forever, and when they pop up, they're gold, because they really can help with our number one issue, one of our number one issues, awareness, the normalization of guns. All right, then we'll move on to gun calendars, which, what time is it? It's only about an hour. I'm going to jump over there and see. I haven't really updated the site in a while, so it's not going to be, I guess I don't need to do it. I have my own links to it. It's not going to be current, but actually somewhere here is when we're going to catch up to where I already have it current. There's only like a dead spot in here for like a couple of months. Let's take a look at where we are. It is now April 26th, and we know that the Girl in a Gun National Conference is happening right now. I don't know if anybody's paying attention to Instagram. They haven't really posted much on the YouTube, but I've seen some Instagram posts of their things that are happening there. In 1995, we have the anniversary of a ban on guns near school that was overturned. So a long time ago in 95, that was right after the 1994 assault weapons ban. We started to see an intolerance for infringements that lasted up until about 2013, 14, I should say about 2015. And then we started to lose our fortitude, or whatever the word is. Let's see. It says Florida force of force law in 2005 is probably something to do with the origins or the modern need to define both Castle Doctrine and what's the other one? Castle Doctrine and Stand Your Ground. Very similar, yet slightly different. So Stand Your Ground is stand your ground. You do not have to flee from force. And Castle Doctrine is you can protect your home. You don't need to flee from force. So they can kind of overlap. They can be next to each other. You can be qualifying for both at the same time sometimes if you're in your home. But I'm assuming that 2005, if I were to click on it, it would give me more info. Has to do with, the origins of all that. Florida Governor Bush signed legislation giving people the right to meet force with force. What do you know? And then we have the 4th annual gunmakers match happening in Monroeville, Pennsylvania tomorrow. I don't know if people have been posting about that, or if you're paying attention to the 3D printers out there. But, we have entire national level legislation designed to create fear of homemade firearms due to the fact that they obfuscate the, or whatever, they conflate the 3D printed guns with the guns that criminals, what they find with criminals that have been modified by having their serial number scraped off. So they'll suggest that a ghost gun is, something that does not have a serial number, implying that it was created by the 3D printer, trying to create fear of that whole concept. And they know that people have an unawareness of that technology, a lack of, correct understanding of what can be done with a 3D printer. They seem like Star Trek magic or something to some people, I'm sure. So to suggest that ghost guns and 3D printed guns have anything to do with each other than being lumped together for fear's sake by bad representatives and bad people in the executive branch. The gunmakers branch is, in the 4th year now, one is the only thing that is standing up to that presumption or that attempt. So unfortunately, the people that run it aren't attempting to make it the biggest thing in the world or nothing. So it's going to stay what it is, I guess. After 4 years, it's going to be what it's going to be, right? We're not seeing much change in it. But if you're paying attention to it, welcome. Have a good time. It is pretty interesting to watch the people print. Unfortunately, they're, I don't know. It's kind of like watching... maybe it's like watching NASCAR or something. Like, you might like NASCAR, but you better also like watching people drink beer because it's happening at the same time. So you could like 3D printing all you want, but you better like weird ass guns and weird conversations and a lot of, similar people, because that's who's making guns. It's all a bunch of young kids, young male kids. I don't think I've seen a girl printing a gun yet. So, it's cool though. We got it and it's happening. It's in its 4th year. It'd be cool if, I hope there's more people than me talking about it out there. The the Girl and Gun Conference will last through Sunday. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 days. 1,000 ladies showing up in Colorado with, I've never asked them what the infrastructure number is, but if there's 1,000 ladies attending, those classes are like 20 or 30 people. So divide that up. There's got to be dozens and dozens and dozens of instructors there as well. Then you have safety and you have catering or whatever else and first aid and who knows what else. So you probably have, way into 1,000 plus hundreds of people there in Colorado. The largest event that happens at that range. And they had to find a range that could even handle the size of the event. And those are a bunch of ladies that are going to get upskilled in their gun handling. They're going to get more knowledge and their awareness of like either instructing or competition shooting or hunting. And if I understand it correctly, advocacy is also an element of their skill building development. This is something that no one even considered, 5 years ago. This is what, the 8th annual or something, so I guess people have considered it that many years ago. But 10 years ago, would you have thought that 1,000 ladies were going to get together on their own? Nothing there is probably pink. There's probably like 16 pink things there, with all those ladies. They're all just being normal ladies. They're not trying to prove nothing or sell a book or anything at the range. They're just all out there learning the same way everybody else is learning. So it's just going to be a whole bunch of diverse people hanging out, meeting each other with the same focus and the same dedication. And then they go home to their families and their friends, the people they work with, the people at church and school, and they disseminate that guns are normal awareness. So some of the most important stuff that's happening, and I don't know if anyone else is, do we have any national level organizations that are throwing some of their millions of dollars at the Girl and Gun Conference? I hope so. I don't know. I hope so. And what else do we got? First day of the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month is coming up on Wednesday. We have the anniversary of the Calling Forth Act in 1792, clarifying the procedures and circumstances under which the president can call the state militia into service. Okay, kind of adjacent to guns, I guess. I put a lot of military anniversaries and history in here. Let's see, and then we got the anniversary of Mauser being born. Is it May already? Oh, I guess it will be. That'll be Every Second Matters is already on Thursday. I guess that would happen if it's already the 27th tomorrow. Like, I'm been busy, so I haven't even been thinking about it. Let's see. So then the next thing we have is Cinco de Mayo. I don't know how many people observe Cinco de Mayo. It's a big thing in Arizona. A lot of Coronas being served that day. Then you have the anniversary of the passing of Dick Casul coming up at the end of the month. And then the Uniform Militia Act of 1792. We've had quite a few militia acts, so I forget which one that one is. From 1792, it has to be after the country. All free white men between the ages of 18 and 45 needed to enroll in the state militias. That was the Militia Act of 1792. So was that before the Army? I'm too late to try to think. All right, so we try to post as much as we can over on gun calendars, or I try to post as much as I can over there. But it's hardly a priority, especially when there's bills to get paid. So it does get kicked to the curb as far as priorities go. But it's how do you say it? It's work that once it gets done, it's there. So as I work on that, it becomes more and more of a resource. The issue is with these kind of things when this is probably the fifth or sixth incarnation of guncalendars.com. If you go back to the Wayback Machine, you can see some of the other versions, the other ways that we've accomplished it or approached it. Things change. We use free or cheap software whenever possible, especially on the internet when things are very likely to change regardless of our intent. The internet just changes around us. We've had that happen more than once over the years. So that calendar is a massive, massive amount of data points. Think about all the different dates you see in there. That's a different database entry, essentially. And sometimes you can transfer things in bulk, but often you can't. So the transferring of that is a laborious and time-consuming project. And this is like the fifth time we've done it. So this last time I did not have the ability to just sit down and do it. It takes weeks to do it. So I usually take a day or two every couple of, like maybe once a month or something when everything's working according to plan. But with taxes and Christmas and everything, that's been kind of haphazard for the last few months. Going forward, though, I won't lie. It's going to still be on the back burner, but eventually we'll get back to it. And then the whole year will be there. And, it'll be another resource until the next time the internet takes a big change or direction change or something. And we'll have to fix it again. But for now, it's cooking over there, and it's accomplishing its goal, which is hopefully normalizing, firearms, letting people be aware of some of the reasons people might own a firearm that have nothing to do with violence. Guess what? Nothing to do with violence. All right, next, we'll get into the military interview shows that we watch. I'll only have one over here, though. So the problem is I watch these on another machine, a different computer that isn't logged in, so it doesn't, the stuff I use over here doesn't record the military shows I watch. But I do have them up on the screen, coincidentally, because a lot of them happen tonight or tomorrow morning, and I sit here listening to them. So the one that's on the screen now actually happened earlier tonight, right before Gizzards' show. The Team House, one of my favorites, is a Green Beret and a Ranger, and they together co-host and then interview different military people. I think it's almost always, there might have been like 5 shows where they didn't interview a military person, but they're almost on episode 300 now. So that's like many years now. They do a couple of other shows. They add shows on Tuesdays occasionally, and then they do another kind of an intel show, debriefing, whenever anything important is going on or interesting in the news. So it's a really fun channel to pay. Well, I shouldn't say fun. It's a good channel to pay attention to. Lots of good information. They have a really good interview style. And again, they're live. A lot of the other shows record their podcasts. This one is live, and I'm a big fan of live. So tonight it was this FBI intelligence guy, and I listened to a good chunk of it, but I've been working on that cable and ordering. I only ordered that cable earlier today, so I've been tracking that cable, and I guess except for that one issue, it's been pretty decent. I'll knock on wood here. There's some wood. But let's see. In addition to the team house, we had Combat Story. That's the Apache pilot who went into the CIA and now he interviews people. He interviewed a Navy sniper who went from enlisted to an officer, Mark Green, and that was a pretty good one. Pretty good conversation. And then, what else did we have this week? We would have had Mic Drop. And I think I already mentioned Mic Drop earlier in the show, but he had a guy who isn't even military. He's just some guy. But he's some guy that grew up in, he said, it wasn't Lithuania. No, it's someplace with an AK. It's in, dang it. What's the country with an AK with an A in it? Dang it, I can't think of it. Anyway, the country that makes an AK that has an A in it is where he's from, and he grew up there and then moved to the United States when he was young. They were very poor, and at some point he started to do training, muscle training, because he kept getting picked on and beat up. Once he discovered bodybuilding, he enjoyed it and was able to make a couple of bucks working at a gym. One of the people that was learning from him at the gym traded him gym instruction for business coaching, and then he became very, very rich. So it's a really interesting conversation with an entrepreneur. Oh, I think that's what I talked about earlier is I listed this guy's, well, he had 8 books that he listed as being books that he reads over and over. And then I found 6 of them on audio tape. He had an interesting perspective on it, and I probably have the same perspective. I've just never thought about it to say it like this. But he says he only reads 8 books over and over and over instead of reading a whole bunch of different books. And he said, imagine anything you do where you do something the first time and then you do it again and then you do it again. And then at some point you're going to have done it so many times that you can teach it, that you can tell, you can tell somebody about it the first time. You can give somebody a little bit more perspective the next time. At some point you're going to know it inside and out. You're going to be able to teach it. And that's his goal, is to understand these 8 books enough so that he can teach them. And then that has given him the ability to understand more about the books, because as he gets older and learns more perspective or whatever, he gets more lessons from those books. But I thought that was pretty interesting. I started to think about if I had to list books that I listen to over and over, I probably do have about 10 that I've listened to over and over and over, and probably never thought about it that way, but that's might be one of the things I was attempting to accomplish. Or at least that sounds good. Then let's see, what was the other one? No, that's it. That's the ones I listened to. With that, I think we're done. I don't think I did. Did I do a show? I thought I did a show this week. We did do a show this week, didn't we? I had the 3 robots fighting. That was this week. So I didn't put it in here, but on Tuesdays we do the coaching show whenever possible. And this week kind of went through and asked fairly basic question, I guess, to the 3 different AIs, and then kind of showed the differences between their answers. So if you want to check that out, check it out. I am getting tired as we speak here. I quit drinking coffee a few weeks ago. So, yeah, I'm tired. Woods is saying he 1000% has a list of books that you read over and over, you mean? The real question is how many books would be on it? Is it like 8 or is it 10 or is it like 5? The Art of War is one of them that I listen to a lot, or listen to it because I listen to it, but I should say I read it a lot. There's been some others, though. Stranger in a Strange Land. I like going back and reading that one again every once in a while. It's just such a cool book. And then Starship Troopers, super awesome. So it's 2 by Heinlein. Anyway, with that, I'm going to start wrapping it up here. If I had a little bit more energy, we almost have time. Well, no, it's an hour and a half. We don't even have time. I was going to say we probably could go back to that NSSF email, but there's no way. I'm already starting to yawn. So because of the co-host, we're going to end it. Because of his sneezing, we're going to end the show abruptly because of his sneezing, and we'll be able to get a refund then that way by not actually finishing the show. So actually, we used his sneezing to our advantage. Woods is saying 15. All right, well, so let's see. Is there anything else to chat about tonight? I don't think so. Do you hear all the noises going on in this dog's guts? Maybe this dog needs some food. You want to eat some food? Do you want to eat some food? Are your belly growling because you haven't had enough food today? Yeah, I think that's what it's saying. You could be saying that. It's hard to say. Look at how lazy this dog is. I'm supposed to be doing a podcast right now. Now I ended up rubbing this dog on his chest and side belly. All right, with that, I guess we're wrapping it up. Maybe I'll put some food into this dog right here, and then he'll eat it. What was he eating earlier? He was eating something earlier. You hear those noises? That's his belly. He's starving to death. Poor animal. He's starving. We're listening to a dog slowly starve to death in front of everybody on this end of this podcast. Horrible. A lot of people with their fancy scripted podcast, they don't even hear any intestinal noises of their co-hosts. They definitely don't spend time going on and on talking about the noises that are coming out. I don't even know if you guys can hear them, but boy, that's about a lot of noises. Do you got to go potty or something, buddy? What's happening over here? I don't think I've ever heard this many weird noises coming out of this dog. Is this because you... Oh, you know what happened? I'll bet you I had some hot peanuts. Some peanuts that were too spicy for me, in fact. Not because of the hotness, but because they put so much lime on them. They squirted so much lime juice on them that they were kind of gross. And I winged them out in the yard. I'm willing to bet $4 that this dude went out and found a bunch of them and ate them. And now he's dealing with the consequences of eating a bunch of hot peanuts. I think that's what it is. I think we've discovered it. We've Columboed the situation here. I suppose I could try to go out there and flashlight them, see if I could find where I threw the peanuts. But I think that we have evidence right here. Right here. All right, well, we've solved the mystery at the end of the show. A lot of shows don't even have mysteries, so you're welcome. And yeah, we'll throw a quick commercial. Oh, we have the new commercial from FISA, so we'll be debuting the commercial here at the end of the show. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Somebody's going outside.
Sorry to bother you, Ripley, but do you happen to know where I might find help designing a logo?
That's easy. Just head over to gearwebsites.com and they can help you out. While you're there, why not check out all the wonderful 2A-related items for sale? Jimmy, put that down.
Gearwebsites.com.